Welcome back everyone to another video, and no, we have no news yet of the ABK deal, but we do have a bit of news regarding that advert we saw for Diablo IV Game Pass. And as you've seen on the title, Ybarra said not gonna happen. Now that's kind of strange, because if they get purchased by Microsoft, well, he won't really have a say in the matter, because it goes against the policy of day and date. And if Activision games are under the Microsoft umbrella, well, I don't think he'll have much to actually say in regards to it not being on the actual Game Pass platform. So let's get on with it. Let's check it out and let's break it down. So as you can see here, we have Ybarra regarding this post that we looked at yesterday. PicPay is an official gift retailer in Brazil, and the post translated to available now, get it now, or play it through Xbox Game Pass. And he said this is not happening. Now, factually, what he's saying is it's correct, because the deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard has not gone through. Now, I think the correct thing is this is not happening yet, pending the buyout or the merger. Because once that merger goes through, Mike can say all he wants. The reality is, Diablo is, unless there's a contractual reason as to why it can't go on Game Pass, it's going on Game Pass, whether he likes it or not. He may decide to leave because of it, he may decide to jump ship, that's entirely up to him. But, you know, as of right now, this is a contractually factual statement. It is not happening. And I know a lot of people are upset about this right now and taking this as gospel and taking this as, you know, fact that even if Microsoft deal goes through, this game will not be on Game Pass. That is as far from the truth as you can humanly get. Even Lulu came out and thanked Idlesoft for correcting the tweet. As you can see here, thanks so much for the correction. Really appreciate your commitment to getting it right to for your followers. No problem, Lulu. Always happy to update and correct any tweets, any of my tweets for my followers. And it was basically this, the talking about it not happening. And as you can see up here, update: Ybarra has come out and squashed the rumor of Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass. This is something that they have to legally say, right? Because if they turn around right now and said, hey, this game is coming to Game Pass, well, that's actually going to cause more problems than it's worth. Number one, if they say it's coming to Game Pass, it makes my, you know, Kotick's statement, Bobby Kotick, about games not going on to subscription services or to the cloud day one, or, you know, within early launch, that sends his whole testimony down the drain. So they can't adhere to that. Secondly, Kotick was very clear that if Activision remains independent, games like Diablo IV, Call of Duty will never see the day and date on a subscription service or a cloud service. He just doesn't believe in it. Maybe 10, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, when consoles are no longer a thing, he may decide to go down that route. But for now, that is not in the plans at any time soon. So where does this leave this statement? This is not happening. Well, where it leaves it right now is, right now, in the current state of affairs where Activision is independent, this is 100% correct. It is not happening. But there is a but. If the deal goes through and Microsoft closes before the 18th, this is happening, whether he likes it or not. The only way this will not happen is, like COD, if there's a contract in place that actually restricts Call of Duty going onto Game Pass and other services, including the marketing rights, until 2024. That is the only way this can be stopped. But to my knowledge, there is nothing there from Diablo or the Sony or anyone else where a contract is in place to prevent this. We know of the one with Sony and Call of Duty, but there is not one here. And it's quite funny, because when we look at the Call of Duty one, Jim Ryan turned around to Phil Spencer and said, the money we're paying Activision for the marketing rights, if you get Activision we don't think it's right for us to give you money to do the marketing rights, but we still want the marketing rights. So that could get quite ugly real quickly, because if I was Phil Spencer, I would make sure Jim Ryan paid every single penny that it cost, you know, for those marketing rights. And if Jim Ryan doesn't want the marketing rights and he wants to breach his contract, then at that point, Microsoft are well within their rights to breach their 2024 contract and put the game on Game Pass. It can't work both, you know, it works both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it, and that is what Jim Ryan is trying to do. But over here, when we look at this actual statement by Mike Ybarra, don't be disheartened by it that it's never coming to Game Pass. If the deal doesn't go through, then this will remain correct. This is not happening. And I can see no Activision Blizzard game day one ever coming on Game Pass or on the cloud service for the foreseeable future. But if the deal goes through, Mike Ybarra will eat these words, and he will then turn around and say, hey everyone, we're not owned by ourselves anymore, we're not independent, so Microsoft can do what they want. Phil Spencer says it's going to go on there, it's going to go on there. And as we know, one of the promises for Game Pass, which was also stated in court with the FTC, is that Microsoft offers a Game Pass service with day and date games. These will be included, whether Mike Ybarra likes it or not. But in my opinion, Mike Ybarra is basically playing it contractually safe. He's playing with the legal game. This is not happening. And of course, right now, it's not happening because Microsoft do not own or have not merged with Activision. But this will quickly change if the merger happens. Well, what do you think? Do you think Mike Ybarra... I mean, obviously someone had to come out and make a statement. Someone needed to come out and say what was what. But do you think this was the right way to do it? Do you think this was the right method, the method of coming out and being very blunt? I think personally it was. I think it sends a clear message, not just to the consumers, but also to the regulators. It also sends a clear message to Judge Corley, who is still reviewing the case, reviewing, the verdict, and is in the process of finding that verdict. Obviously, everything outside of what was heard in the trial can no longer really influence her, but this is still a damning response that basically supports what Microsoft is saying and has been saying all along. And it also puts a complete downer on the FTC's, well, they're going to put it on there anyway. We believe that they will do it, and maybe they will, but maybe they won't. That also goes hand in hand with the fact that the FTC is saying, but they could withhold the game. It's exactly the same thing. The reality is, Mike Ybarra, in my opinion, was right in saying this is not happening. He has to legally say this is not happening because Activision Blizzard's stance is of that where they don't put games on subscription and thing, cloud gaming. But I think it's quite interesting. I think it's really interesting. And I think this sends a very strong message that inadvertently actually supports Microsoft's position, where if they actually push this merger through, games aren't restricted from players like Mike Ybarra is doing here, and more games are available to more people, right? Game Pass is a relatively cheap service that allows you to play hundreds and hundreds of games, and therefore putting the Activision catalog in there would actually make this, well, it'll broaden up the game, not only the first party games that will be on there, but games like Diablo, Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, is that Activision? Spyro, I think, is Activision, and so forth, will all be on there, more accessible to more gamers through Xbox, PC, and the cloud. I think this alone proves Microsoft's point pretty much with a slam dunk. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.